It's Wellness Wednesdays. It's Wellness Wednesdays. And this Wednesday, I am going to take you guys through one of my processes. I've been talking a lot about feeling your feelings and why it's important, and healing those wounds and processing. And now it's time to talk about how I do it, one of the ways I do it. And I have no science to back up why this works. I can tell you my theories, but full disclosure, I use video games, especially open world video games, in a particular way to give myself the structure to do this. Now, some licensed therapists who may or may not play games have said that video games numb feelings, not help you process them. I obviously categorically disagree, but full disclosure, I'm giving you guys all the information because I am not afraid of facts. So if you like my approach here, help support this channel either on an ongoing basis on patreon.com/LeannaK or one-time coffee, buy someone a Leanna Cares session, coffee.com/LeannaK. There is one-time donation stuff on coffee too, but Patreon's the main source for that. So far, 9 Leanna Cares sessions have been donated via coffee. And that has gone to a combination of regular people I talk to. They signed up early and we meet every week. And they've had some financial hardship. And as you can imagine, when you're having financial hardship, that's when you need someone to talk to, right? But so this support has allowed them to continue, but there also have been other people who have approached me privately and said, I could really use this. I don't have the money. So it's gone to those people as well. So one thing that makes me feel so good about this community is how willing people are to help people they don't know. I do let coffee supporters know where their particular donated sessions are going. But I don't name names or any identifying details. I just give them the basics of, here's what's going on. So they know. I mean, people deserve to know that their money is being put to the use that it is intended. But yeah, it's been really good because for some people, there's no substitute for talking to another person for naming, understanding, and processing their feelings. And for me, I'm not necessarily like that. I, for various reasons, like to work through it on my own. Now, part of that is because the way I process feelings and the way I process a lot of problems is inherently annoying. It runs like code for me. It's like a flow chart. I'll start with, okay, I'm feeling this thing. I'm feeling kind of anxious. My chest hurts. I'm kind of headache. I feel kind of nauseous, whatever. What's going on here? Is it this? No. Okay, try again. Is it this? No. Is it this? Well, that feels kind of right. I'm not going to inflict that on somebody else because it's a long thing. And it's like, I go to a certain point. No, that's not right. Back up. Go to the beginning. I'm just a very systemic thinker and I like to be able to, run the code clean. Which, like I said, is a lengthy process that, I'll get to a certain point and then I may essentially ask somebody for a second opinion that I trust, but I need that process so it's not blah, it all just comes out because that's what, that endocrine sort of physiological response with feelings does. It happens faster than our cognitive processes. It's designed to essentially keep us alive, pull us towards pleasant sensations, pull us away from unpleasant or dangerous sensations. Now, our world has a really, really toxic relationship with feelings and processing feelings. Because really processing the nuances of feelings and understanding what's going on and learning and growing from it isn't that immediate, oh God, I feel something, this is awesome, or oh God, I feel something, make it go away. Those intense immediate feelings are things that drive us to immediate action. Now, the thing is about our world is it's not like, our ancestors, the whole lizard brain thing, where we could just immediately react. Most of the time, especially in strong feelings, we have to like tamp it down, the frozen thing, conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. And that can cause a lot of anxiety because your physiology is telling you should be doing something that your brain is telling you, no, you can't do. Clearly grounds for anxiety, right? Everybody's like, okay, yeah. Sometimes we do it. Sometimes you have to do it. Consequences be damned. At least I do. But I'm somebody who learned at a fairly young age by necessity to feel my feelings. I won't get into the gory details of it, but I started this process when I was about 15 years old. And nobody taught me how to do it. They just said, you have to feel your feelings. You shouldn't hold so much in. It's like, I'm a fucking introvert. It's not holding things in. It's just, I talk to myself before I talk to other people because I like to have some idea of what I'm saying before I open my mouth, right? Other people who are more extroverted, they use people as sounding boards. And I don't mind being used as a sounding board. In some ways, I quite enjoy it. There are a few people I trust as sounding boards, but it takes a lot for me to trust somebody that way because I've been burned so many freaking times. A lot of people are like, so what I do is I use open world video games and that exploration. And there's something about, Canadian winters are brutal. So in the spring and summer and even into fall, I'll go for actual walks. But with an open world game, that's like my indoor walk. And so you got the birds going and the crunching and things and, something may go overhead and it'll give me time to go, okay, what's going on with this thing? Right. And, I tend to walk places in open world games. I use vehicles if the soundtrack in a game is really, really good. But, a really great song can help you process feelings too. In a different way, in a more indirect way, but it can give you sort of a system flush, right? Dancing feels good, focusing on lyrics, everything. Okay, palate cleanse. Now let's do the work. Now that I'm feeling less and more like grooving, right? And open world games provide all that stuff, and then you have little moments where it's like you get the blood pumping a little bit. Another form of system flush. Okay, let's get back to thinking. Come on, Chicharron, dale. But that was a Far Cry 6 thing for people who have not seen my obsession with the psychotic rooster that is Chicharron. I put a rooster in my background because I love Chicharron so much. Love that rooster. Love him. All the amigos in Far Cry are good. And that's another thing. I mean, you can sit there, who's a good chorizo? You're a good cute doggy. All these things give us little, dopamine hits. And those are really important leavening notes, especially when we're dealing with tougher stuff. But it's not just about dealing with tougher stuff. Oh, no. Society has screwed us up so much and has trained us to feel anxious when things feel good. What? No, really, this is something the experts, or at least, a consensus of experts, agree on. We are socialized to avoid feelings. human beings tend to be social creatures. We learn by absorbing and mimicking messages from others, right? We respond to feedback. And most of us get these sorts of messages when we're developing. Look on the bright side. You need to be strong. Don't make me feel guilty. Please don't cry. Oh, don't be upset. Oh, I hate it when you get upset. You know, all these messages, or the more current, you're drama, or you're such a drama queen, or it's always drama. I actually, tells you a lot about me here. I actually threw someone out of my house because they were a guest of mine, and they said, Juliana, I don't understand. Drama just seems to follow you. I was being stalked at the time, and this person dismissed it as drama. And most people would be, oh, and they just take it. And in that moment, I was like, this is my house. No, over, get out. I have zero tolerance for people dismissing things that really upset me, that really bother me, as drama. That is such a toxic thing. Are some things just drama? Are some things like spilling tea worthy? Sure. Some people are hot messes, though. I mean, there comes a point in time where someone goes on so long that you go, hey, maybe we should stop just schadenfreudeing and maybe help them. But some people just seem to be drama, and they're good with it. But I would rather err on the side of this is serious than err on the side of drama, because I need active proof that something is just drama, because I'd rather err on the side of caution, you know? And sometimes people claim it's, oh, I'm just drama, I'm just dramatic, and that is a dodge. That is them not feeling their feelings. The number of people who claim that something doesn't bother them when it does, and they just can't identify it. Everybody does that to an extent. Sometimes you need some time to realize something bothers you. A lot of us have been trained to try to outrun our feelings. Now, the problem is when you're outrunning feelings, especially bad feelings, the minute you stop, wham, they catch up to you, right? Knock you flat. So people keep going. But then there are the other social messages, right? Don't brag. Don't be arrogant. Don't get a swelled head. Don't think you're all that, right? There are criticisms people get for feeling pride or a sense of success, or daring to think, you might not be the best person in the world at something, but you're pretty good at it, right? And if this happens enough to somebody, then they actually start feeling anxiety whenever they get a sense of accomplishment or a sense of pride or even a sense of joy. So many people feel like anything that feels good is just the beginning of a crash or the beginning of disappointment. And that's one of these narratives we tell ourselves, right? Which state is the variation and which state is the theme, right? Is the theme a lifetime of working towards accomplishments, or is the theme all the good times always end for me, right? The two things, if you line them up, are indistinguishable from each other. That song, into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine. That song. Everybody has ups, everybody has downs. The story you tell yourself about what those ups and downs mean does a lot for your worldview and a lot for your sense of resilience and self-compassion. playing down your accomplishments, not allowing yourself to take in the good times, is another form of feeling your feelings. Of not feeling your feelings. Now, video games are so designed to be fun, it overrides that put down any of the good things, right? It gives us permission to have fun. It gives us permission to feel good, right? It gives us permission to feel a sense of accomplishment, because if you beat a boss, well, you undeniably beat a boss, except for that experience in From Software games with the cheesing bosses. My take on cheesing bosses in a From Software game is, if they didn't want people to defeat a boss that way, they wouldn't have allowed you to defeat that boss that way. That's not cheesing it, that's strategy. If there's an easier way to defeat a boss in a From Software game, fucking take it, man. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Right? Personally, I also think that, and I want to be careful with this one because there's nuance to this. Not all insults as a form of affection are created equal. Not all busting balls is created equal. I think too many people pretend griefing or trash talk or that kind of thing is all in good fun and doesn't bother them, but I think it actually does bother a lot of people more than they feel permitted to let on. You will not convince me that somebody who is this, raw wound, when I talk to them on some form of social media, is doing okay enough to know whether those insults are bothering them or not. So often in life, there really is a right or wrong answer to, does this bother you? How are you? How are you doing today? And I can't stand that. I'm one of those people that if I ask somebody how they're doing, I actually want to know. I'm fine. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I've had a really rough day. Oh, really? How come? If that's how somebody's feeling, I want that. I have to remind myself that most people, when they say, hey, how you doing? It's just a greeting. It's not a legitimate question. And that's something I think we should change gradually as a society. I'm trying to think up some group formats with the whole Leanna Cares idea that allow people safe spaces to come in and talk about their feelings as part of a group. Really rough stages right now. Any suggestions you have for that? Are greatly appreciated right now, because some people want that sort of group experience. I'm more of a one-on-one person, but I'm trying to meet people where they are with this stuff, because again, to me, I'm a private processor. I run something and run something and run something and run something until it runs clean. And I don't know if that's innate. Like, I don't know if that's nature or if that's years of theater where, you learn lines, you learn songs. I don't know if that's sort of the computers minded element of me. I don't know. It's a combination of the above. I don't know if it was that sort of negative, don't feel your feelings messaging, that I got coming up. Again, combination, but I am very much, okay. Nobody can tell me what I think about and what I focus on in my own private time. And, that process of playing open world games, specifically open world games, because something like Doom Eternal, no, that game moves so fast. You cannot work through things while you're playing Doom Eternal. That is, I can't play that game 4 hours before I go to bed. Like, it is such an adrenaline rush. That's why I say specifically open world games where you got to go from point A to point B and you're just like taking it all in, breathing in the pretty. Horizon Forbidden West has been really good for that. The Far Cry games are good for that. Breath of the Wild was freaking amazing for just chilling and like, letting thoughts and feelings come and sitting with them and going, why do I feel that way? Why do I think this? And really doing that deep, nuanced reflection element. Really feeling what I'm feeling and not having to keep a stiff upper lip or, kind of a stoic outer, or even, focusing on the logic of the argument because somebody's giving me a hard time on Twitch and I just, because I have a real moral problem with someone showing up and just spreading nonsense, intentionally or unintentionally. I feel a responsibility to correct the record when I know someone's slinging bullshit because somebody may believe them. And so if I've got counterfacts, if I've got evidence to show this is not true, I'm going to provide it. And again, I'm a debater. I do enjoy logical jousting. I am a thinker, right? But one of the things I had to learn is you can't think your way away from your feelings. You have to think your way through your feelings. And I have found that, formal philosophy, especially stuff like the Stoics, because that's all about processing emotions and sort of the actual letting go of attachments, really focusing on what's important to you and why is something making you unhappy and does it have to make you unhappy? Is this an artificial unhappiness? Is this just demanding too much control and making yourself miserable? That's not something you can do spur of the moment. That's not something you can do when you're having an adrenaline rush. You have to be able to sit there and really focus on, they talk about what your body is doing, but specifically it's that thing of, does thinking about a particular thing make you feel like you're breathing faster? Does your heart start racing? Does your chest hurt? Do you feel nauseous? Do you feel a bit of a thrill of excitement? Do you feel enthusiastic that you're looking forward? Like, what do these thoughts create? Do you feel excited and then anxious? Well, if it's that, little bit of, oh, this could be so cool. Wait, no, this always happens and it's always a disaster. Like, if that's the thought process, it's important to stop and go, wait up. It's a fallacy that's just because it's always happened before that it's going to happen again. I was bad for that. I still get in places where I revert to that and I have to stop myself and go, hold up. Predicting disaster doesn't make the disaster feel better when it happens. So let's not predict it. Let's go, all right, let's set up some victory conditions, like a game. Let's set up some victory conditions that are in my control while I'm running around with Chicharron, as a guerrilla in Far Cry 6 or, shooting robot dinosaurs in the face as Aloy in Horizon Forbidden West. What are some structures I can put in that I can get a win out of this instead of being attached to the outcome? And there was a thing, this grant application I was working on. This happened a few months back. And after months and months and months of work, I attended an information seminar and found out that somebody who was in the board of Feminist Frequency was on the jury that was going to be judging me and my project. And there was no way to get my name off of it. It was all my company. And I'm like, I'm fucked. You know, there is no way this person is not going to sabotage this. I am not going to get a fair shake. And there was nothing I can do about it. I couldn't bail out because I had people working with me on it and they wouldn't have understood. I tried to caution them, but they're like, oh no, there's checks and balances. And I'm like, all right, I can see the train coming. So what do I do? All right, playing games. You know, I think it was RimWorld that I used to work through on this one. Because another one where, you know, there are things happen and then there's long periods of chill and then there's another little pop and long periods of chill, right? Any game like that. Builder's Satisfactory is good for this too. It's a combination of lull periods and sounds that I find are best for me with this. But I'm like, what is something I can control? Well, the reward can be submitting it and not walking away. Let them reject me. Don't do it for them. Put that on them. Don't put it on me, right? Make them have to live with the reality that they aren't rejecting the merits of the project. They're rejecting me as an individual. And I don't know for certain that they did, but come on. That became my victory condition. I could control that. But there were a few days where I was like, oh my God, I was so bummed out. Because, you know, it's that feeling of, well, 6 months of work on this and I'm fucked. This was all a waste of time. No, I can control thinking that this is a waste of time. I can control feeling like it's a waste of time. How do I make this not a waste of time? And that's where they go back to the beginning and run it until it crashes, fix it, go back to the beginning, run it. That's where that comes in. And so I came up eventually with a script, with a narrative, where the moral victory here, the victory condition, is submitting the application, not letting these people beat me, not retreating. Make them do it. Make them reject me. Because they know on some level that they're not being objective, right? Like or I can assume that. But see, I caught myself again. No, I don't know. I assume. This is the process of feeling your feelings and processing your emotions and making them work for you instead of being a slave to them. And if you don't stop and slow down and do this work, the anxiety, the running from your feelings, the crash from just emotional overwhelm is going to continue. And sometimes this process is lengthy. It can take hours. And unless you've got something to semi-focus on, it can be really exhausting and grueling. And that's where the video game comes in for me. I'll be trudging along. Okay, there's downtime. You know, I'm listening to all the pretty sounds, looking at all the pretty foliage. You know, big skies and big vistas, and Chicharron making his awesome rooster noises. All right, let's chew on this a bit. You know, and okay, little distraction, come back. Let's chew on this a bit more. It is actually the spaced memorization, the spaced learning by default, because there's breaks and you come back, there's breaks, you come back, right? It's tricking my brain and tricking my system into not going into overload, not going into panic mode, because I'm not solely focused on it. I'm 85% focused on it. And that's how video games work for me. I can do that checklist and it's not overwhelming. It's not anxiety inducing because I've got, a buddy in the form of a video game that I don't feel like I'm a burden to. I don't feel like I'm inconveniencing. I don't feel like they're going to tell me I'm drama. Chicharron's my amigo, right? That works for me. May not work for you. Something else similar may work for you. Meditation music, a meditation app, watching a movie you've seen a bazillion times. Like I said, I do go for real walks in nicer weather. But that's what works for me. And that's why it works for me, right? It's like a brain hack for myself. And maybe it'll work for you. I don't know. Give it a try. Work with it. Trial and error. But most importantly, give yourself the narrative that just making the attempt on this means you're doing something for yourself. If it doesn't work, it's not a failure. It's you tried it, it didn't work, but you tried. And that's the thing you can control, right? This is the mental training you can get into. You are in control of the narratives and scripts you tell yourself about your own emotional reactions to things. And it's way, way more effective to give yourself that positive, useful, wise narrative than try to just avoid feeling. You can actually succeed through a successful narrative structure. You're not going to be able to outrun your feelings forever. All right. You know it's coming. Help support this channel ongoing on patreon.com/Leanna K. One time through coffee.com/Leanna K. Thanks for watching and be well.